This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich.
And I'm Kelley Gilster of 618 Studios.
And we are on a mission to help filmmakers level up their businesses and their craft so they can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here.
Welcome to episode 103 of the Level Up Podcast. My name is Taylor Petrinovich, and I am joined by my co-host, Kelley Gilster.
Hi, everyone.
And we're excited to talk about all things elevated client experience. As we all know, when it comes to raising your prices and reaching new levels of the market, elevated client experience is a huge piece of that puzzle, and we're really excited to dive into the conversation. But first, Kelley, how are you doing?
Life is wild right now. Taylor actually joined me last week down in Southern California, and we did a ton of things. And even before that, we shot our very first wedding of the year at the end of March. We're actually recording this in April if you're listening later on. And we had our very first wedding in March, and then we had our second one right away, a back-to-back in Aspen. And so that was really exciting, and it came with a very crazy turn. We actually had to drive home from Aspen because of some flight cancellations and all that. So literally drove home, was home for 2 hours before I picked up you at the airport. It was crazy.
You were such a trooper.
She gave me multiple times to back out, and I'm like, I'm not a quitter. We're still doing this because we had a huge week planned. So Taylor, do you want to talk to them about what we did?
Yes, we are so excited. We've been hinting at this course that we have coming out soon, and we recorded it. So it is recorded, it is done. We're in the final stages of editing and adding finishing touches onto it, but we are so excited. It's going to be so good, and we're really excited to share it all with you. It's called the Luxury Filmmaker Framework, and we couldn't be more excited. So we spent the entire week filming, basically. Kelley, you guys have a corporate commercial side to your business, so your husband was a huge help. Shout out to Paul.
Yeah, he loaded all of our teleprompter stuff in with our scripts and got everything all dialed in. Taylor and I did we tried to do as much as we could on our own, but Paul definitely was a huge help in that. So shout out to Paul again for being great.
Yeah. And then we also decided, since we were in person, which doesn't happen all that often, why not do a meetup? We had never done a meetup before, so we had our very first Level Up community meetup in Southern California, and I think somewhere in the realm of 22 different filmmakers came out to meet us in person, and we just hung out and ate food and drank, and it was so fun.
Yeah, it was so nice, so refreshing. I think everyone was that was the main theme of everything, was how refreshing it was to talk to fellow filmmakers, decompress on things that maybe they were having troubles with, and knowing that they're not alone in some of those troubleshooting pain points. We're all in the same boat, and I feel like as you level up within the industry, you still, do have some pain points. So it's not like if you're, in the budget market versus the luxury market, that you're never going to face anything that is hard to deal with sometimes. But we just, I don't know, it was a great community. It was a great meetup. People hung out late. Me and Taylor had to head back the next day for our final day of filming. So people were loving it, and we're like, hey, you know what? Keep the room. You have the room all night. We're going to head out. I wish we could have stayed later, but again, we had that early call time to wrap up the course. So it was a big week, to say the least, for me. 2 back-to-back weddings, right into course filming and all that. But we are really proud of this course, honestly. As we were filming it, we were just continually saying how valuable this was. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not a crier, but there was a time, Taylor, I didn't tell you this, there was a time when I was getting ready for the course, and I kind of got a little bit teary because I was just thinking about how much this is going to change people's lives. And I'm not going to get teary-eyed now. Getting a little choked up, but zipping it up.
Make me cry.
Stop it. Stop it. If you're watching our YouTube channel, we might be sobbing right now. Just kidding.
Like, no, it's people's lives and businesses will be changed, and we're just really, really excited because that's honestly like what it's all about. Of course, we want to all feel, creatively fulfilled and all of that, but like it's all about changing the trajectory of your life, and you can really have it all. You really can. So we're going to dive into a little bit of what we did actually talk about in the course, which is how to create an elevated client experience, which comes with many, many different, pieces to the puzzle. And we can't wait to share this information with you guys. So, Kelley, why don't you start us off with how to create an elevated client experience and maybe why that's important?
Yeah, so as you are on this trajectory towards the luxury market and you're elevating everything, maybe you're going through a refresh or a rebrand, your website's looking more dialed in, your portfolio's looking elevated, it's really important that your experience is elevated as well so that you're rising to the occasion of working with high wealth clients and luxury planners. So we think that it's so important to realize who you're speaking to. I think that's a huge thing when you're speaking to either a planner or you're speaking to a bride and groom who's doing a majority of the planning on their own behalf because they've made that choice. It's important that your verbiage and language assists whoever your point of contact is. So it's kind of two different conversations. If you're speaking to a bride and groom, it's a different conversation that you're having with a planner who's been, planning weddings for 10 years. So, as we're speaking to clients as far as like delivering a questionnaire to them, that's a huge one. We always like to deliver a questionnaire to our couples about a month out from the wedding. Taylor, are you about a month or are you like 6 weeks out on that?
Yeah, I actually like to keep it to 30 days. I have it all in my calendar.
Oh, great. Yeah, same here. I'm 30 days as well. And sending that off to a couple looks a lot different than how I would send it off to a planner who maybe all of the things that I have in the questionnaire is already found on their timeline. So I don't really want to like bog them down by having to fill out that information twice, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's good to definitely tailor this part of your workflow of like pre-production to the client. So whether your client is like quote unquote the planner or the client itself, like the information you're going to want to get from them and the amount of hand holding is going to look a lot different. And again, planners are very busy people. They're not going to want to have to kind of do double the work, if that makes sense. So for sure.
Yeah. And also they don't always want to deliver a form for their clients to fill out. Sometimes forms can feel a little bit budget rather than sometimes I'll just break it down really to just like the 3 questions that I really need answers to. And then once I receive their timeline, if there's things that weren't filled in that I needed from the questionnaire, I'll either try to like fill in the gaps as best I can or just like gently ask for that in a time that feels appropriate. Definitely not the week of the wedding that we talked about a couple episodes on like what not to do the week of the wedding. But yeah, that's really helpful. And I also think too that like it's a little bit tricky, when you're rising within the market and you don't really know how to like confidently deliver a better experience. I think that there is a lot of really, really solid education when you're first starting your business, right? Like we all start at the same price point. I shot my first wedding for free, shot my second wedding for $300 and rose from there, right? And we all do that except for Taylor. She came in at $800.
$875 actually.
Oh my gosh. I still can't believe that. I love it.
I'm so confident.
So confident. And so we all started there, right? And so you learn how to run your business and manage your clients at the level that they're at. And then you learn how to speak to your clients and, manage that in the next level up. And then you kind of move into the luxury market and everything gets flipped on its head. It's like everything that you once learned in those education things or what fellow mentors had told you that were maybe more in that budget or lovely market, it's so different in the luxury market. It's just so different.
Yeah, my mantra lately has been, what used to serve you is no longer going to serve you moving forward. So it's like kind of you have to leave some of those things in the dust, honestly, and like thank them for the time that they did serve you, because they got you to where you are. But now you have new goals. You have your sights set on this much higher kind of echelon of client, and it takes a whole new set of skills and strategy in order to cater to that and grow. So yeah, it's so true. I think that's actually like something where a lot of people get hung up, especially like in the filmmaking space. I feel like as an industry, we're like a few steps behind photographers like as a whole. And I think a lot of it comes with like some like just antiquated like education and maybe a more feeling of like, well, it's worked so far, like why fix it? Mentality. And it's so advantageous to adopt more of like a growth mindset and like always be like learning and pushing the boundaries and being open to new ideas, because those are the people who like find like really high levels of success, I feel like, in the industry.
Yeah, that's so true. I think you said something a while back about like sometimes we wonder why our business isn't changing, and it's because we've been doing the same thing over and over again. This is also like kind of a little side tangent into something that we talk about in the course, but we talk about like communication and what that needs to look like in the luxury space. And I do not text with my clients. Like it's just a boundary that I set. And I was actually talking with my mother-in-law about this, about like why it isn't appropriate for us to text our clients and at this level. And it just, for one, like I don't like to have methods of communication all over the place. Like I don't want to have methods of communication in my Instagram DMs and then also in a text and then also in an email, if that makes sense.
Because yeah, that's like asking for something to be missed, honestly. Like
honestly, yeah. It just is asking for a problem in the future. And also like boundaries. Like I think I remember very, very clearly the time when I realized that I no longer wanted to be on a texting basis with my clients. I remember I was out shopping with a friend, and it was just supposed to be like a day off, an afternoon off, and out shopping, and I looked at my phone and I had a text message from a bride that was a stressful text message. Can't remember what it was relating to, if it was like about, I think her wedding was coming up, about things, and she was like asking me all these questions about how this should be maneuvered, and honestly it's like way beyond my skill set and capabilities. Like I wasn't her planner, and it just like really flustered me. I remember like my heart was racing. I don't know where I was going with that, but it was just kind of one of those things like that I think like texting your client is something that really serves that budget client. And then as you scale up, like I said, I used to text with my clients and I no longer text my clients anymore. So I guess what I was getting at is changing your workflow. It doesn't always have to look the same. I've changed my practices in many avenues, and communication is one of them.
Yeah. And I mean, that goes back to the point that we made at the very beginning of the episode, is that a budget client wants and expects something different from you than a luxury or like more high wealth client. Like in the budget sector, like they do want friends. Like they're wanting that personal connection with like a lot of their vendors, like especially photographers, videographers sometimes get lumped into that. But then as you move up in the market, it becomes more of like a business transactional relationship where they appreciate you for the art that you're going to like provide them and the experience that you're going to provide them. And then it kind of ends there. And so really being open and flexible to whatever level of communication is warranted at that level. Like there's been issues where people like are really insistent that a client gets on a call like a few weeks before the wedding with the photographer or the videographer, and the client's like, no, thank you. And like really like reading the room and not like pushing it, because it's not about you and your processes anymore. It's like really about the client and how they feel. And they can have a really poor taste in their mouth about you before even heading into the wedding day if you're not like treading lightly and professionally there.
Yeah, or just respecting their own boundaries, Like we respect, like we have our boundaries, our clients have their boundaries too. So, yeah. One other thing I wanted to touch on too is something that I don't think that people would always consider an elevated client experience. But Taylor and I really believe that this is something that will serve you well, but also serves the client really well. And that is upselling. I don't know how many of you guys listening or watching on YouTube incorporate upselling into your workflow, either before the wedding day or after the wedding day. I think that there are methods to both, but upselling is really an elevated client experience because the client doesn't know what they don't know or what they need. I think we've all been maybe in a shopping experience where you have a very tasteful salesperson that's educating you on maybe the quality difference between maybe a shoe or a suit or something like that. And having more of that professional experience from someone who's an expert in their own field, you know, maybe going to like a J. Crew versus like a J.C. Penney. Do J.C. Penney still exist? Or did they go out of business? I can't remember.
I think there's one in my mall.
I think there is.
Or is that a Sears? Oh, I don't know.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying, right? You're looking at more of a tailored experience, and it's really helpful. Like it really lifts. I don't know if you've experienced that, Taylor, where like you don't have to do as much of like the guessing work, and it's nice to know that there's options out there for you that's a better fit for your needs or something that's going to serve you better over time.
Yeah, it's so true, especially for videographers. Like, who outside of our like industry has any experience with hiring a videographer? Like none, almost, you know? And that kind of goes like, you've been working with an interior designer for your home. I'm actually, I have an interior designer coming over next week, and that's how I feel. I'm like deer in the headlights. I'm like, I do not know. Like, you tell me what I need. Like, that's why I'm hiring you. Yeah. And it's kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, I just want to be told like what I need and I'll just sign the dotted line, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, back to the upsell thing. It's like some people like just don't know the value. And a lot of the time, there's a mindset shift that happens sometimes like really close to the wedding day and after. Like they don't realize how precious memories in a more like documentary like length film of either like ceremony, toasts, or even raw footage, what value that can hold. And then like going back and reminding them like gently and professionally that like these things are available to them because you shot the entirety of the wedding day, and like maybe now they want it, whereas maybe they didn't know that they can get it, or that ship has sailed, or it wasn't possible anymore. Like really coming at it from like a service and like experience standpoint instead of like a sales like standpoint. And I'm just going to give us like a shameless plug. We do have a client experience bundle, and all of that, everything that we're talking about today is going to be included in that. You can find that at thelevelupco.com/shop if you want to snag that. It has a bunch of email templates and as well as other things that we're going to get to in this episode. But we just wanted to kind of make an episode circled around this topic because we think it's very helpful for everybody.
Yeah. One of the most valuable things that I think is in this bundle, and a practice that maybe some filmmakers could adopt if they haven't already, is the opportunity to sell raw footage. I know that this can be a little bit of a hot button issue for people who aren't super comfortable with it. I personally have sold our raw footage for the entire length that our business has been in business. We really enjoyed having the raw footage from our wedding. I knew that it would be something that other people would love to have too. And so I am totally okay with selling our raw footage. Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't come with some stipulations. I have an agreement that I formulated. It's a disclaimer and agreement. It's just really helpful in delivering that to the client before they purchase their raw footage. It just really outlines exactly what the raw footage is, what it consists of, and how it's delivered, and then how it can be used. So it really protects you as the filmmaker. It gives the client a better understanding of what exactly their raw footage is. So you're providing, again, an elevated experience by showing them without any guesswork on, maybe they receive it and they're like, what is this? There's hundreds of clips everywhere. I mean, it's organized and all that stuff, but just basically showing them exactly how it's delivered. And we've honestly never had a problem with like people being upset about something in the raw footage, or I think some people get a little bit scared about that. But I'm here to say 13 years in, we have sold probably 100 raw footage things. It's extra money in your pocket. It raises your bottom line. And I think it really does serve the client well. Like they love watching their raw footage. We'll hear from clients too. Like say we see them at a past, future wedding or whatever, and they'll say like, I love watching through my raw footage, or, I love our films, but our raw footage gives a totally different feel than like what you delivered in these beautiful films. So something to consider. I think that it really helps filmmakers feel more confident when there is more of that agreement in place. And so that's why we've implemented that when clients are purchasing their raw footage separately. It's totally separate from their wedding cinematography agreement. And so that's also included in the bundle.
Yeah. One thing I love about the raw footage disclaimer is that it sets expectations. To me, like, part of like a luxury experience is like no guesswork. Like I want to know exactly what I'm getting and like really have a good understanding of things. And one thing that clients sometimes don't understand is that raw footage is exactly how it sounds. It's raw. Like there's like camera shakes and like talking in the background and like all this stuff. And like it kind of goes over that so you don't have to like feel awkward like saying all of those things. I know that's been like a pain point for me. It's like I want them to know exactly like what it is so they don't have like different or like high hopes or like different expectations. Like I think part of luxury is like being really honest and like setting that expectation beforehand. So that's like one thing I love about it. And that's kind of like an after the wedding day thing. And we've talked about what you do before the wedding day, but now we're going to talk about what we do on the wedding day, which boils down to how you show up and present yourself.
Yeah, we talk about how now that, you're wanting to move up in, a higher sector of the market, it's important to dress. Maybe you're not shooting those weddings that you're serving yet, or you want to serve yet, but it's important to dress the part for them. I also kind of wanted to share a funny story. Our Aspen wedding that we had, in the course, we talk a little bit about how you'll encounter more themed events. And so our Aspen wedding had a themed welcome party. It was more of like a old school Aspen, like Western theme. And going into the welcome party that day, us and the photographers were kind of having conversations about like, what did you bring? What are you wearing? And like, we're very accustomed to wearing like for the guys, like a suit, and for me, like a dress, like a black dress. And luckily the planners had called to like button up a couple things. And I'm like, hey, just a quick can you let me know like what is the guest attire on this? And she's like, oh, like tons of denim and cowboy boots. And I'm so glad she said that because we would have looked so out of place. Like Paul in his like black suit and a bow tie. They'd be like, who is this? And so I think it's important too that when you're encountering some of these themed events to dress for the occasion. And, I know that we always feel like black is a safe route for weddings, and it generally is 95% of the time, but you may encounter in the luxury market more of, maybe a color palette that they want you to, stay in more of like a neutral earth tony palette, no black. I think that actually looks really cool in pictures when you kind of see like a wide ceremony shot of like all the guests within like a certain color story. I actually really love that. So it's important to, really understand what the attire is if it's a themed event and lean into that. And then on the wedding day, again, like if the guests aren't wearing a suit, but you're wearing a suit, that's okay. Because you're dressing for the weddings that you want to be shooting, and the clients are going to recognize that. The guests are going to recognize that. Our first wedding of the year, I actually had she was probably like my mom's age, like in her 60s. And during cocktail hour, I was kind of shooting guests, and she pulled me aside and was like, I just wanted to thank you for dressing the part, like looking nice. I love what you're wearing. I've been to a lot of weddings over the years for family or friends, children, and I have noticed that a lot of times the photo and video team is underdressed. And so it's very refreshing to see a team that presents themselves very professionally and is dressing the part. Again, you want to really respect these clients, their event. It's a lot of times it's a black tie wedding, so you want to dress appropriately.
Yeah, I think that's such a big thing. That specifically videographers sometimes have a problem with because, peak wedding season is in the summer. It's hot. I get it. You don't want to wear a suit jacket. I understand. But I think that there are times where your comfort is kind of secondary to the overall event, honestly, and like doing your job well does include client experience. It's not about just the film or the photo gallery that we're delivering. It's like about the overall experience with us as creative partners. So I think that's so huge. And in our client experience bundle, it's so fun. We put together like mood boards, and then we also have Pinterest boards linked so that these are like live links. So you can like literally click on an outfit, like add to cart, purchase it right there, that we've kind of curated for both men and women. And it's very like inclusive and all of that. So we're really excited about that. So if fashion isn't a strong suit, like myself, that's kind of a benefit of grabbing that bundle, because you have Kelley curating your outfits for you, which is so great. She's like a personal stylist.
Sure. I'll take it. I'm going to be updating that, as you know, like Pinterest, you can always update things, and maybe a dress that's pinned there is no longer available. But yeah, I think like it's always nice to like get a couple new outfits. I did that recently. I really like Aritzia right now for outfits. It's a little more of like a higher price point, but I have found that their stuff really lasts. I have a few dresses that are like, the quick, like fast fashion, type of thing, because I mean, I get pretty sweaty on a wedding day. So a dress can only last for so long before it's time to say goodbye. But those Aritzia pieces, those are good pieces. So if you haven't looked into Aritzia and you're a female filmmaker or photographer, look into them. They're great.
Yeah, the dress I wear when we were recording the course, it was Aritzia. I love it. I think it's so cute.
Yeah, I actually was like, I'm going to go get that because I need that for this wedding season. It's a good one.
Yes. And then maybe you can like come second shoot for me. We can just like be matchy.
I feel like one of these days I'm going to have to come second shoot for you.
You're going to be like, you're a robot.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding. Kelley is like, so like we're kind of like yin and yang. I don't know if you guys have like picked up on that at all, but Kelley's just like a very like people person, just like, yeah, like so nice and wants to like connect. She's like more artsy, and I'm like down to business, like check boxes, and like it's so funny. We actually did a poll on our Instagram. If you guys follow us on Instagram, we did like a get to know us series on stories. And one of the questions was, whose phone battery is always at 2%? And I'm just going to give you guys a second. Oh man, I was going to say, let's give you guys a second to tally the votes. It's Kelley.
Dude, I'm chaotic.
It's fine. I'm like type A, Kelley's type B.
So yeah, in all things like with an elevated client experience, I've probably said it before. I'm going to say it again. I really truly believe that we are in the hospitality industry. And when I think of me providing great hospitality first, and then I think of me providing an amazing film for my clients second. And I say it all the time too, but like I feel like client experience like trumps the like delivery of things. If they had a really good experience with you, you could deliver whatever, and they're gonna love it because they loved working with you. And not whatever, but you know what I mean. And you could deliver the most incredible film ever, but if you were not reading the room correctly, or not understanding that they're burnt down on portraits, just let them go enjoy their party. Like, don't fight it, let them go, let them do it. And I think that's also the beauty of like, I never really want to create like vanilla wedding films in a way. Like, each of my films don't follow a cookie cutter approach because every client's different. So I think that's almost why, like, I'm kind of now thinking of this right now, coming to this like full, like this come to fruition moment right now, is that the reason why we don't have this cookie cutter approach is because we're constantly reading our clients in what they're comfortable with, what they're leaning into, what ignites them. A wedding day looks so different. We don't really like create many moments personally in our shooting style. And so Taylor, I don't know about you, but I don't know if that's just something that came to my mind just now, is that because our clients are so different in what they love and what their experience should look like in their minds, it kind of yields in a non-cookie cutter approach to a film. Like they might just want to, like they might just want to go and enjoy a cocktail hour and do 5 minutes of portraits. And that's great. I'll capture them.
And you can tell.
Yes. And you can tell. And I'm going to go and I'm going to capture them hugging their friends and family, enjoying that cocktail hour. It's a little bit lighter on the portraits, but that's okay. That served them, you know, that's what they wanted in their wedding day. Or you might have a client that's like, let's go climb this mountain and let's shoot portraits for 40 minutes. We're okay to not enjoy cocktail hour. We have a farewell brunch tomorrow. We're going to see everyone again. We want this time for us, and great. We're there to assist them and serve them in that way.
Yeah. So well said. Yeah. It's being I said I'm not like that much of a people person. Like I am. Like I understand like social. Like I have social awareness.
You robot too. Doing the robot. If you're watching on YouTube, it's terrible.
Only like a tiny bit. But no, it is like if you can tell when there's like tense moments, like maybe like the bride isn't like super close to her mom, and like being able to kind of like read the room and like see that like in them, or maybe if there was like, you know, like a family dynamic that's like really sensitive, like really having the social awareness, keeping your eyes open, understanding things and coming at it from like a really people perspective is so important. And the same thing, like it is pretty common for like a groom to be like totally over portraits and not want to do it anymore. And like, yeah, don't force it. Like you can tell like he's giving you like a grumpy face, like and it kind of like puts a strain on like the bride and groom, which is really sad because like if the bride's like really into it but the groom's not, like it kind of like pits them against each other, which is like the last thing you want to do on their wedding day. So like kind of removing that as like an option and just being like, cool, we got exactly what we needed. It's going to be so amazing. Like, you know,
yeah.
Coming at it from that angle is really helpful. But we're going to land this plane. This has been just a great client experience episode, and I'm really excited for my wedding season and all of your wedding seasons. I haven't started yet. I don't start until the end of May, which is so strange.
Wow. That's like really late.
It's so late. It's so strange. But now I'm like dying to go shoot a wedding and deliver a great client experience. So
we're in the midst of a hard little stretch right now, and then we simmer, and then we go hard again in July. I also just kind of before we land this plane, I kind of want to just talk a little bit about one of the things that I really took away from our meetup was that we talked with so many filmmakers that were so shocked that I started my season at the end of March. Like they were like, wait, what? Like, are you not like freaking out? Or they would ask, how many weddings are you shooting? And I'm like, oh, we're going to cap it at 12, I think, this year. And they're like, what? You're going to cap it at 12? And they're like, I think they're like thinking in their minds, like, how are you surviving? Like, how
do you have money to do anything?
Are you providing for your family? And I think that it's just really important to realize that like the luxury market out there exists, and it's super like sustainable. And you don't need to be shooting 40 to 50 weddings a year. Like, I think that's what a lot of filmmakers that get kind of caught in this budget market are accustomed to. And like, that is not what you need to be doing. And if you're ready to move out of that, we actually had a girl that came and she was like, I think she said she shot like 55 weddings last year. I might be wrong, but it was up there. And she was like, yeah, like I'm doing 12. Like you don't need to be like, this is like why we're filming our course. Like we're giving people the framework to like move away from like this burnout. Like shooting 50 weddings a year is going to burn you out so fast. And like, we want more for your business. Like we want it to be sustainable and like have longevity and for you to enjoy it, because it's going to pull the joy out of your business so fast.
Which leads us to something so exciting that's happening actually, like as we release this episode. You're going to want to hurry on over to the course waitlist, which will be linked in the show notes and in the description if you're watching on YouTube. But we're actually pre-selling the course. So if you're on that waitlist, you are going to have first dibs access to the course as it rolls out at a very special price point that will never be offered honestly ever again. I know that sounds so like salesy and gross, but like it's true. Like we're doing this like one-time special for like our like OG really want to get into the luxury filmmaking people who are on the wait list as a special gift. So if you're listening to this and like any of this is resonating, like go hop onto the wait list and you will be contacted with information on how to enroll with this like special pre-sale deal we have going on just like literally for these 7 days. anyway, we're super excited if you can't already tell.
We're really excited about it. Again, Kelley over here, Enneagram 3, not a crier. Like, I never cry, but this course I'm really excited about. Like, I've wanted to do this for years, and I think that first day of filming while getting ready, I'm like, it's all happening. Like, people don't have to like spin their wheels continually year after year, like wanting to maybe rise out of the market that they're in. Like, here is everything for them to make that actionable change and like literally change their life. Like, not just change their business, but change their life. And that's just our heart behind it. Like, Taylor and I are always like, I don't want to feel salesy. Like, that's like the last thing that we want to do. But honestly, like, our whole like heart behind like this community, this podcast, like everything that we have going is like only to be there to like help change lives. And I hope that you guys feel that. And we hope that you know that like we just really have your best interest at heart in everything that we put out.
Yeah. Kelley and I are also not done growing either. Like, we are both like very like, we have our sights set high, and like it is like our deepest desire to like grab as many of you as we can and pull you with us. Like, we want to like climb this mountain like together, like all of us do it together so that we can like serve amazing couples, like have an incredible life and build like a legacy. It's not very easily attainable unless you're serving like this portion of the market, honestly. So we're very passionate. Kelley, you're tugging at my heartstrings. So I think we're gonna end it there, but we're so excited. Find us over on Instagram if you want to chat through it. Kelley and I both run the Level Up Co. Instagram page, so send us a DM if you have any questions. We love sending like little voice messages back to you guys. It's so fun. But we're pretty much open books, honestly, and we just want to help you. So let us help you. Help us help you.
Yes, we hope to hear from you. And again, thanks for listening to us. If you're jumping in each week, if you're currently binging the podcast, wherever you're at, like, thanks for, being a part of this. It's just a huge joy for us to do this, and we appreciate each and every one of you.
Thank you for joining us in this conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, please help us reach more filmmakers just like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it on social media. Don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.